Hello, everybody.
Shalil.
Hi. Thank you for joining us today. The way I want to start today is that we are in the January month and it's 2024. I think there was a time 2000 when the internet came. Then there was a time when we had Internet of Things, which is around 2011 or something, as a turn of the decade. And there's another turn of the decade, we're now talking about AI. All of these phases are the revolution in the industry, right? It's a sort of transformational aspect we are looking at it. So today is a very interesting topic. We're starting in the month of January and we are really talking about the new sort of animal which we are dealing with. And it has now become more prominent from generative AI perspective because even a small kid can actually interact with artificial intelligence as such. So thank you for joining with this prominent topic of discussion today. And we wish to hear your viewpoints across the board. But before that, why don't we just introduce ourselves in a very brief manner?
Yeah, thanks. My name is Abhish Kulkarni. I work for HPE Services. It's a services organization within the larger HPE where our charter is to help customers to leverage the HPE portfolio as well as our larger ecosystem partners to bring them together to give the solutions to our customers. So the whole charter is to really deliver the value to the customers, not only sell products or help them to augment their data center. So my team actually works with customers to stitch the solution and deliver the business outcome that they are looking for. So I've been with this company for over 22 years now.
Right, God.
Very exciting time, and I really resonate with your thought process of the changing, industry priorities,
Yes.
or the new things that is coming. And I fully agree with you that in my portfolio, what I see is every 3 years or every 2 years there is something new that comes up, and which is good because it keeps us also on our toes to innovate and deliver new solutions to our customer.
Yes.
And it is in general good for the whole industry.
Absolutely. Can't agree more with you. And I like when, every 3 years, 4 years, I have something new to do. I'm not getting bored out of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And second point is technology is always pacing ahead so much that businesses are always doing a catch-up job, right? With that. Good.
I have a very interesting job of observing what's happening in the technology space. Should I call it evangelization? That's what I do.
Okay.
But most of the time, I'm trying to connect the dots from a customer perspective. I'm a customer's advocate in HPE, I would say that. To see how HPE technology can be brought together and how we could come out with some meaningful solutions or solving many problems that are there. In the context of artificial intelligence, I think it is perhaps the greatest technology that we will see for the decade. Happy to be part of delivering that technology to the audience per se. I also find that as a very large unifying force in the sense that I could have an AI conversation with my mother, with my son, with my daughter, right? It's a great unifying force across the dining table. It also is a technology that is very, very close and impacts everyone's life and work. And that's what HPE's purpose is, to bring out a technology that is really creating the change in a day-to-day basis. And when we talk generative AI, it goes to the conversation that we are
Absolutely.
having. So it's completely a great technology. Looking forward to how it gets adopted. in the
I was
market.
thinking one day generative AI will take my job away because somebody else is going to sit as an AI and will
That's
question
true.
everybody else. It may be better, actually. I'm dreadful for that day.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Prasad Pimple. I work with Kotak Life as EVP and Head of Digital Business. So, as I was mentioning earlier, that in Kotak Life, digital business is an SBU, and it has its own business verticals as well as enablers in form of separate e-sales unit, e-operations unit, as well as the digital technology unit. As far as my role goes, it's all about how do I create an ecosystem for the customers, a digital ecosystem, through which interested customers can purchase a life insurance policy on their own with the help of a do-it-yourself journey. So the entire customer experience management at one side, along with the purchase journeys, and other side, how do I build that customer interest into a life insurance product first through digital marketing?
Yes.
That is awareness part of it. how do I convert that interest into a consideration for Kotak Life as a brand to select, to consider for his or her life insurance needs. And third one is how do I fulfill that entire part with the help of building the purchase intent and giving a seamless, smooth journey to the customers to do that entire thing on their own.
We have been given promises that, because of the artificial intelligence, we have the analysis of the data, which is through machine learning and so, and then generative AI, which is a responses in a contextual manner, very large language models, can actually stitch together a great simplification around these things, right? I have seen board members talking about it. I have seen CEOs talking about it. Then I have also seen line of businesses talking about it, CIOs, CTOs, etc. and talking. And I'm sure HPE is also talking about it. But I haven't seen anybody saying to me in confident manner that they have got the value. So I will start this discussion today with simple question, Prasad, to you. Where is the value you think is sitting as of current, specifically for your organization? And has it been delivered, not delivered? You're there, not there? Where are we?
Correct. So when we talk about value for any business, the value comes on the basis of the use cases you have. If you have not defined your use case upfront, that okay, I am deploying a particular technology to solve a use case, then that entire value question becomes vague. Because what happens if you are doing certain activity just because anybody and everybody in the market is doing it, then it's very difficult to show value. I'll give you the example, like you talked about starting from IoT in 2011 to 2023-24, now we are talking about Gen AI. In between there was a phase where people were talking about the metaverse.
Yes.
Correct? That was a buzzword just 4-5 years back. And now it is not in consideration for anybody.
Crypto was also there, right?
Crypto as an instrument, a separate conversation altogether, but which is blockchain plus crypto put together. Blockchain is still getting evaluated, crypto might not be. But that metaverse had come in perspective multiple times. A lot of people jumped into it saying that okay, you can easily get benefited because you are first in industry or you are the first mover kind of advantage you can get out of it. But what we have realized nowadays because of technology, it is seldom first mover advantage. It is now more about who can execute it better, and more than execution, who can understand the use case better. So if you have a use case first, that when we talk about the customer experience, and for that customer experience, this kind of activity I need to do, and for that I am using the new technology or the new buzzword which is currently in the market, then it's far easier to convince management to experiment, far easier to get value out of it. Your experiment might fail, that's a different thing, that you might realize after implementing that solution that experiment has failed. But that's how the today's world is. It's all about the fast experimentation, either succeeding quickly or learning from the failures quickly, both the things as the two sides of the coin.
But chatbot is chatbot. It could be vanilla chatbots and so on. So I mean 99% of them are the vanillas one today. But people are talking about a great noise being made, it's artificial intelligence. You will feel like you're talking to a customer executive. Your cost will go down to 1/10 what you are doing and whatnot. Productivity would be at a peak.
Correct.
I'm hearing statements from people, business leaders across the globe. I am not seeing that, value actually adhered to, right? From your perspective, as a technology provider to the ecosystem, you heard, right? Users or companies like Kotak or companies like financial institutes, they might be thinking in a very different level of what the AI is, right? Chatbot is also an AI, but generative AI. Today, I would say large language models, I will say the data and analytics power, the infrastructure required around it, has completely changed, right? We are looking at mass personalization to happen. We are looking at productivity to really be scaling it, and our cost has to actually go down to get the value ascertained. What is really artificial intelligence according to you? I'm sure, Ranga, you would, and you would add to it.
So in the context of artificial intelligence, there are definitions, right? What he just said also was artificial intelligence, right? Somebody is essentially driving that logic and it is incorporated through a machine, and that's what is happening there. But it's also grown in terms of technology. You're talking of neural networks today, which is your ability to kind of almost think like a human being and deliver artificial intelligence to those levels. You're talking of, I was just looking at the level of artificial intelligence today is actually equivalent to an exaflop, which is 2 to the power of 18 transactions per second. That's the power of the brain. It does it to 20 watts, that's a different story. But that's the power of the brain today, and that's what technology that we provide really measures up to. And looking forward in the next 2 to 3 years, or at least in the next horizon, I would say, you'd move towards singularity, which is essentially the ability of a machine to think like the cognitive wisdom of the entire universe, right? That's singularity. So we're heading towards that. So technology promise is definitely there. But coming back to how we would want to incorporate and how we would want to grow is again a factor of adoption, like you rightly said. You could have the best of technologies, but you need the market to accept that. Post-pandemic, the love towards digitization, love towards mobile, love towards doing everything through an application has grown. And artificial intelligence that way took off very, very significantly, right? As a technology, artificial intelligence is 74 years old. It's not a new technology. It has found its winters, it has its summers, and we are in the third summer, I would say, in that context, right? Thanks to ChatGPT, November 2022, everything really blew out of proportions, right? So I think, artificial intelligence is an evolving definition. If you were to look at the classic definition, it's your ability to use a machine language and train your own machine devices to deliver intelligence, which is based on an augmentation of the data repository that you have, how you embellish that entire data through intelligence, and ultimately reach intelligence.
Sure.
That's where it stands.
Yeah, I think I agree completely with you. So I think what you said is very true, that you can define whatever you're doing right now as artificial intelligence. So in a technical term, it can be divided into, I would say, 3 parts. So one is the artificial narrow intelligence. I think we are there. We are able to get that narrow intelligence, which is task automation. What you're talking about is a task automation. There's a specific task. It has to be done in a specific way. We have the wherewithal and the knowledge and the algorithms and the way to implement. We are there. And I think you see in many organizations have already adopted that.
Correct.
The second part is the artificial general intelligence. And that is something which is still in the area of your high performance computing, and mostly with the educational institutions as well as very, very large labs. They are experimenting on that. And some of the very, very prominent organizations, very deep pocket organizations like Google or Microsoft and all, they are also doing a lot of work in that area. The third is the combination of these two, which is the artificial superintelligence.
Yeah.
If you combine these two, you get to the area where we are talking about, you're having another human being and you're having conversation with him.
Yeah.
And he's able to understand the full context of the subject and give a reply based on his abilities of narrow intelligence, which is based on knowledge in the repository, and a general intelligence, which is based on the larger context. So I think the first one is mature, second one, work is happening, third one, I think we have some time to reach there.
Yeah, I think my job is still safe, by the way. Great point you have taken there. On the one side of the coin, I think we all agreed today that technology has matured, whether degrees will change and evolutions will keep on happening, but we have substantial fundamentals with us, right? And those fundamentals are promising fundamentals. These are promising fundamentals to drive value for my organization. But then organizations are not able to get the value out of it, right? So where is the issue? And I want this answer divided to be 2 parts. Is there a technology issue, or it's a business issue, or it's both? Prasad, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
Give me some examples.
I'll give you the example. Yeah. And I'll give you more examples about how it is giving value. Okay. So last year we launched a product called Protect India. So that was the first product, which is a term insurance product, though smaller sum assured. We created the journey which is end-to-end straight through with proper machine-based underwriting as well.
Okay.
So we define all the underwriting logics, rules as a part of the journey. As I'm going through the journey, the system was deciding whether this particular customer is eligible, not eligible, and as per that the journey was happening. There is a module what we implemented on a facial scan. Now why do I need a facial scan as a part of my journey? It is nothing but to check the liveliness of the customer. That to ensure that okay, when the customer is purchasing the product, where I'm not going to underwrite, where I'm not going to ask for a physical medical, I need to ensure that that liveliness of that customer is getting checked.
Sure.
So we implemented a face scan method. That face scan at the end of the that when I had taken the selfie and all those things, it was giving me a liveliness score. If the liveliness score is above a certain percentage, then only I was taking that case inside. Otherwise, I was keeping that particular customer not in that straight through process.
Very interesting. Yeah.
So those things, again on the experimentation level, we have done.
How do organizations start working fundamentally? Like, they need to see data. I mean, to train that data, they need to process it at a high volume. At the same time, those volume needs to be delivering personalized sort of runtime information back to the customers or create policies and so on. So in this case, but fundamentally, I can't just change it on the go. It's a huge capital requirement. It's a huge capex requirements for organizations. How do we sort these things out?
Several ways. Foundationally, you see the shift, like you just said, right? From whatever traditional architectures that we had towards an AI-enabled architecture, what we say, because the type of workloads that we are seeing are changing color. They are different today. They are not the traditional workloads that we had seen. We just take an example, right? It is just a single workload that needs multiple nodes to work in an AI environment, whereas it was multiple workloads and multiple nodes working simultaneously in the previous generation. So there is that fundamental shift. And in the journey of artificial intelligence, the two important criteria for success are data and the ability to compute. Right? The ability to compute was always there, but the point that I was noting from him was getting the results instantaneously. So everyone wants those results instantaneously, right? You're in an ADAS kind of environment where you're driving an autonomous car. You need that data to be prescribed to the logic immediately. So that's the two elements that are very, very important. On top of that is the several other requirements that you said. Whether it is the type of model that you have chosen, the veracity of the model in terms of handling various use cases. And I believe that the use cases can be that 1.4 billion for India, right? Because every use case is so very different. You will have your own requirement. It has to pass through that business test and really become available for others.
Yeah.
So when you're in this journey for impactfulness of AI, I see the journey to be hitting scale. And one of the reasons why we feel that AI is not created that impact perhaps is because of the siloed nature of approach by every organization, right? There has been pressure to come out with AI projects. As you said, it's a boardroom discussion. There is peer pressure, that person is doing, you're not doing, let me do something into that. So everyone have indulged, wetted their feet on artificial intelligence, but they've just kept it at those levels. It's all very, very siloed. How can I extend an artificial intelligence journey into something more bigger and hit scale is where the challenges are. And that is where you need a sanctity of data. Garbage in is garbage out in that context. So, that becomes very important. Then the need for the right kind of model. Choosing the model, are they proven results? Can I really place my trust on that? And there are other aspects, especially in the financial segments, how can artificial intelligence be explainable? Right? Is it something that I can trace back to? So I can open up a lot of other related issues there, right? It becomes ethics, it becomes sustainability. But these are the things that have to come together. And when we see the market, Shalil, the approach till date has been something that's really pegged on one or two elements. It could be a GPU, it could be a model, it could be a use case. But that's not the story. The story is actually a comprehensive story of technology, of use cases, of people who are using it. That could be the users, that could be the producers. So it is a 360-degree view that one needs to have, and that's what leads to a successful AI strategy. I think the country itself is going through this, right? Even though we see a lot of hype around artificial intelligence, to me it's like yet another workload, right? It's got its nuances for sure, but the impact of that workload and the outcome of that workload is something that is going to be something that is going to democratize many things.
So I'm looking at you guys as a partners, and I'm saying, how can you deliver that consolidation to me?
But there are some serious banking players where they are trying to experiment on the second one. And there, actually, the complexity that you talked about comes in.
Yeah.
How do I start? How much effort I need to put in? What is the right way to go about it? Shall I invest X amount of dollars? Whether I need a billion parameter model or a 10 parameter, all those questions are there. So there is one advice that we give to our customers is, we can only start small. And at least 9 out of 10 customers that, we met, they are taking the MVP route, the minimum viable product route, where start with an experiment, as you said correctly. Some experiments will succeed, some will fail. But start with small and then grow gradually on top of that. So we see the world as hybrid. You will have multiple of these technologies being used. You will not be able to solve all the problems with one model.
Yeah.
You will need multiple models. You will need multiple partners. So there is no doubt about it. So how do we navigate through this a little difficult part where you start delivering the right value, as you said, like from going from 4% to 10% or 20 or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not one model which will give you that benefit or that advantage. It will be multiple steps, till you reach that point. So what we are trying to advise our customer is to, how do you create that foundation blocks?
So one of the story is, how do we create an asset light? Because what is happening is, any algorithm which I need to really function in my favor, whether if I'm using a third-party API, which is Google or anybody, they are already indexed, let me say this way. How far I can use them? It's not going to give me any differentiation, right? So let's say HDFC Life and Kotak Life, they both use the same API. They will get the same answers. So the barrier of entry and the competitive differentiation is hardly anything there, right? That is not what organizations want. I think what he would be looking at it is that I need to create my own sort of competitive differentiation, which I can do, let's say, a customer experience, professional sort of personalization. Now, that means a capex investment, because one model to be trained, I need a huge computing power, huge infrastructure power to do it. Just to kickstart my own project, it is a no-starter for me, because I will never get this money from my CFO. Right? If I go to a CFO and say, yes, boss, I'm just trying, but for trying also I need a huge amount of money. He's not going to give you money.
Yeah, I mean, if you were to look at that, right, you start as an AI consumer and then you become an AI producer, right? In the entire life cycle that we're speaking of. How can we help from a technology perspective is, when you are a consumer, you need the resources to be done, and especially in the FSI segment, right? You need there's data sovereignty requirements. You can't really trade off the data that is there.
True.
So you might use this hybrid model where you're perhaps deploying some of the models in the cloud, but doing the entire activity of tuning a model, parameterization that is basis your requirement. All of that is done in-house, and we provide a portfolio of infrastructure there, and also the platform, which is essentially built on top of the infrastructure. Infrastructure would be server storage networking, and interconnects that are there. And the entire aspect of platform would be, how do you handle the workloads there? How do you ensure the orchestration of these workloads really happen? And then comes the model, right? When you get into a model where you want to define a model and build a model, you have aspects like training the model. How frequently do you get the data points for that? Can I look at data points at various points of time from various sources, right? Can I index all of those data pipelines? And there is technology that HP brings to the table there. And when you're doing this entire relearning concept, Shalil, I mean, you could have data that is very seasonal, especially in banks, right? The behavior of customers change dramatically today. So you can't train a model which is as of 2022 and say work in 2024. You really have to put things other than that there. So in all of this, we are able to deliver the infrastructure, the platform for artificial intelligence, be it a consumer, be it a producer, and I can do this with a cloud experience. So we essentially believe that the cloud experience is here to stay, which means the way you consume stuff is something like, it is delivered to you in your own context. You kind of use that and then pay for what our usage is. It's managed by all of the other, managed by us, and we just consume it. And that typical cloud experience, right? So we bring all of that together as a service model.
Yeah, I've heard public cloud providers require an AI algorithm to read the bills as well.
Yeah.
No, I think it was an interesting discussion, frankly, and an honest discussion from all of you guys. It's very rarely happens, I must say. We talked about benefits of the revolution which is in front of us, but we also talked about the hindrance, the obstacles which we are facing today. Okay, and these are practical business hindrances and obstacles than a technology one. I think technology is running faster than what we can think. They are still ready with everything what you want. Our wish list is there from that perspective. But obstacles from businesses are siloed, data are siloed, we can't share unregulated, sort of uncoordinated regulations which are coming across. All of us creating a problem, and it's creating sort of more complex environment than actually simplification. With this, just 2 words from your side before I end this session is, how do we really move from complexity to simplicity? Any words of wisdom?
No, I think the only thing this is like cost of repeating, experiment. If you become successful, scale it up. If you experiment, it fails, do another experiment. But there is no alternative to doing that experiment. Otherwise, if we don't do experimentation, that after some time we'll face few challenges. If customer moves towards that experimentation direction, then we'll have a challenge.
You can't be left behind. This is a disruptive technology. So in that context, artificial intelligence is a must. And it's a great technology. It's going to percolate into every walk of our life. I think we will have to start investing there. There's no harm. And as any technology curve or a product curve would go through an evolution, right? I think we are in the evolutionary phases. And staying invested and focusing on a clear-cut strategy is what I would say. Don't just go for the heck of going there, right? Just have a clear-cut strategy, a vision that you understand, develop over a period of time. Even if you take time there, the more you plan, the better you execute. So AI strategy, a wholesome view of AI, I think is what I would look for.
Yeah, I think I agree fully with Ringa. I think it is here to stay. So the two cents from my side is, we definitely need to invest. I think the world is going to be hybrid. It will be a mix of all. So have the strategy considering this mix of technologies which is suitable for you. And I think the last and the most important aspect, I think I would like to say that, look at the talent. Because end of the day, when you have to deliver some of this, it is the people who are going to stitch this whole thing together. And that is one aspect that one also needs to consider, as part of the whole strategy, that, how do you really have a COE approach? Some customers are actually having the COE approach, which might be a low cost to start with, but have a lot of internal talent development and not depend completely on the outside world.
Completely agree with all of you guys. I think I would add one thing to it. I think artificial intelligence can solve the most complex use cases we have. Other than that, I think process automations and other technologies can solve the simpler problems and for complexities. But the most complex problems, artificial intelligence can actually solve. Where I will leave the whole panel today for discussion is that time to take bold step and time to solve the most complex problems. Just with this, thank you very much for being with us, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. You enjoyed it, Prasad, as well. Ranga.
Thanks, Shalil.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Thanks a lot.